Good morning, Chicago Cubs fans. We are back with another edition of Cubs Daily. My name is Steven Ryan. I hope you all had an absolutely fantastic holiday, ate some good food, watched some football, and chilled with family and friends. I know I did. We did have some transactions happen over the weekend and just a little bit before the holiday break. We're going to talk about our main man, Nico Hoerner, and if there's any rumors with him potentially happening. And then an article written by Jacob Zanola. He's one of those guys I follow on Twitter. He is all in on the Cubs. He is really good. He goes to the winter meetings, all that good stuff. And he talks about maybe a fun potential trade with the Minnesota Twins that could kill two birds with one stone. And then we're going to talk about a hot button issue in Ben Brown and his up and down season last year, and maybe could he be back for a bounce back in 2026? All we can hope is yes. But before we get into all that, I just want to wish everybody a thank you so much for all of the support over these past few months. This channel is growing like wildfire, and it is awesome to see. We are on the road to 1K. So if you already are enjoying the content and you are subscribed, you know you rock. If you're commenting, sharing your thoughts, I 100% appreciate it. Again, your comments can be viewed here on Friday, potentially. We'll go over some questions and comments, so please drop them in the comment section below this video, and I will get to them there. And if you're new, hit that subscribe button. Let's get after it, ladies and gentlemen. So, it's hilarious, right? The last video I talked about was a potential rumor with the Cubs wanting maybe Ryan Helsley. I also read that they are one of the few teams that looked into him as a starter. Well, look no further. I think it is pretty much set in stone. It's not official yet, right? We get the rumors that a deal is happening, and then a few days later, the team makes it official, quote unquote. But Ryan Helsley is going to be signing a 2-year deal with the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles had a massive down year this year. Just underperformance here, underperformance there, and just wasn't their season whatsoever. But they're trying to solidify that pitching. That is what they truly want, just like the Cubs. And they get their man in Ryan Helsley. So he will not be a Chicago Cub. And I'm okay with that because I honestly thought his price range, what everyone thought he was going to be getting, I thought that was just a little bit too much. Also, before the break, the St. Louis Cardinals and Boston Red Sox made a deal. Sonny Gray was sent to the Boston Red Sox in exchange for a couple of minor league pitchers, Richard Fitz and Brandon Clark. Could this be signaling a rebuild for the St. Louis Cardinals? The St. Louis Cardinals, my whole lifetime, have never rebuilt. They've only retooled, and so it would be curious to see what they do here. I believe Nolan Arenado is probably going to be the next one on that list out. I'm not sure what they want to do with Brendan Donovan. I don't think they want to get rid of Mason Wynn. I've also heard rumors that they are not going to be trading Wilson Contreras by any means. But they definitely need to retool and refocus because it is not going down well for them, especially with the Cubs where we're at, the way the Reds have been improving so far, and obviously the Milwaukee Brewers are one of the mainstays here in the Central. Drake Fraley agreed to a deal with the Tampa Bay Rays. Former Red, I don't think he was going to be anything special. A lot of minor deals kind of going on here and there. Obviously, we talked about that Marcus Semien and Brandon Nimmo. Things are about to ramp up, though, ladies and gentlemen, because I believe it is later this week. The winter meetings are upon us. That is when GMs and all team faculty are going to get together and things will happen. Some names are going to be on the move, so keep your eyes out there. And hopefully the Cubs start to make their moves there as well. Speaking of moves, a name that was a listed potential trade target for other teams is Nico Hoerner. This one's tough because I think Nico Hoerner is our best overall player. I know it's tough to say, right? Defensively speaking, and just contact and base running ability, he's really, really good. Yes, he does not bring the power that you really want. Maybe not best overall player, but he's one of my favorites. He's a really good baseball player and a guy I just wouldn't want to see go. His 3-year, $35 million extension that he signed in 2023 is going down at the end of this season. Again, the Cubs have a lot of players coming off the books, and that's one guy I would like to keep around personally. But the Cubs are obviously having the phone lines open. They have to listen to offers for a guy like Nico Hoerner, right? I mean, obviously he can provide a lot of teams a lot of value with his pure ability to hit the baseball and Gold Glove second base. But a fun little thought here happened because what if the Cubs do sign Alex Bregman, right, to a 3-year, $100 million deal or a 4-year, $120 million deal, right? You're like, okay, what does that do? then they can kind of move Matt Shaw over to second. Matt Shaw naturally is a shortstop, and he learned third base, so I would only imagine that he can handle second base somewhat pretty easily. Again, don't like to sit there and say that he's replacing Nico Hoerner, but it's a possibility, right? There's a lot more team control on Matt Shaw, and if Nico Hoerner provides you the right value, then that's a move you're going to have to consider making, especially if the Cubs are looking to upgrade at third base, maybe via free agency. I haven't really heard much rumors then. I think if Nico is to be traded, though, he will be traded for pitching. Again, no teams have been linked to Nico yet. Last year, the Mariners were interested, and of course, I would love to get my hands on one of those pitchers of theirs. Kansas City Royals are an option. I've seen even jersey swaps on Twitter with Nico going to the Red Sox. But again, I don't know what the Red Sox could provide us for Nico Hoerner. Nico would not be traded for another infield player or outfield player. He would definitely be traded for a pitcher of sorts. And again, with only 1 year left on his deal, I don't know how much that's going to swing. But again, Nico Hoerner is an all-star, he's a gold glover, and a really, really good hitter. 297 to round out last season. So I don't want to see him go. I actually personally want to see Nico Hoerner extended, and I want him to be a Cub for the remainder of his tenure. But only time will tell. And if the right offer comes along, it's going to be a tough pill to swallow, but it's got to be a realistic possibility. Okay, here is the one, okay? Could the Twins solve multiple problems for the Chicago Cubs? Yes, they could. The Twins are looking to be in a rebuild, okay? The Tigers, they have the control of the AL Central. The Guardians, battling back, will be competing as well this year. The White Sox, even though they did not have a great record, they are looking better. They are trajectorying upwards. And the Royals are in the middle ground there. And the Twins just, they lost a lot. They don't have a lot of spunk, you know. They have Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez, two solid pitchers, but they were kind of trading off at the deadline last year. They traded Joan Duran away, et cetera, et cetera. They don't got a lot of great prospects coming up the line. And they got new ownership coming in potentially. So they may be looking for a reboot. They signed Byron Buxton to that massive contract, I believe a couple years ago. Let me get that deal here. Byron Buxton was signed, and then, of course, potentially Joe Ryan. That's obviously a name the Cubs were rumored to be in a deal with. But could this be a massive blockbuster trade the Cubs could make? This is one I would have to start thinking about, right? Buxton signed a 7-year, $100 million deal. Okay, in 2022, I believe it was. Hold on, where is it? Byron Buxton signed a 7-year. Yeah. So yeah, 2022 to 2028, Buxton will be, paid as such. So we would get him for the last 3 years of that deal or so, 2026, 2027, 2028. There's a lot of concerns with Byron Buxton, obviously, as he is injury prone. He has missed games, but man, is he dynamic. A power bat, decent center fielder, and can run really, really fast. Would I like Byron Buxton in a Cubs uniform? Absolutely. You cannot tell me otherwise not. Obviously, I'm talking about the baseball player. I know there's a lot of different distinctions. Right, last year, 4.9 WAR. How many games did he only had 488 at bats? He only played in 126 games. So he played 3/4 of the season, essentially, and he still hit 35 home runs. You're going to tell me the Cubs wouldn't want that on their team? Maybe he's just more of a DH, right? We can spare him center field because we have Pete Crow Armstrong out there. Could he occasionally play right field for us? Absolutely. I don't think that'd be a big deal whatsoever. But Byron Buxton is very dynamic, and I would love to see him as a Chicago Cub. Could things improve? Absolutely. He's a career 248 hitter. But again, I'm here for the speed and the power which he provides. Gold Glover, Platinum Glover, Silver Slugger. He has shown flashes across all platforms on that front. Byron Buxton would be an excellent addition to the team. Injuries, of course, happen and scare me. But I only want Byron Buxton if we're getting Joe Ryan as well. Maybe the deal is Pablo Lopez and Byron Buxton, but again, they're both injury risks, so maybe the Cubs would not have to give up so much to get either of them. Joe Ryan is a much more known commodity for the Cubs in this situation, but maybe if the Twins are just kind of looking to reboot, again, we can give them Alcantara, James Triantos. We got other guys in the minor leagues that are going to be looking, Gage Workman, the minor league player of the year, Long. Like, we got guys in the system that are major league ready that, the Twins would have open spots for. So this could be a nice little friendly swap between the Twins and the Cubs if the Twins are interested. We just don't have that necessarily big name prospect that they would be looking for. But again, with the injury risk of Pablo Lopez and Byron Buxton, that would defer their value just a little bit more. So it's an interesting proposition. If it's Joe Ryan and Byron Buxton, obviously that package is probably going to start with an Owen Casey type player or Kevin Alcantara, bare minimum, and maybe you're going to have to look into Jackson Wiggins as well. Jackson Wiggins is probably going to have to go in either deal, honestly. But again, these are moves. These are the moves the Cubs have to make if they want to stay competing in the National League and try and win that National League Central. So Byron Buxton, Joe Ryan, it's a very intriguing proposition. I would be curious to see the framework of a deal, but Byron Buxton would not be a free agent until 2029. So that is a very enticing thing for me. He just turned 31. He's going to be 32 here in a couple of weeks. So yes, he might be peaking over, and of course the injuries don't help at all. But hey, I'm interested in to see what the Twins are going to be doing, because a lot of different teams are a lot of different points. We'll have to keep our eyes on those Minnesota Twins, huh? All right, now final topic of the day, Ben Brown. We haven't really discussed him in this video, in this series all too often, because obviously the 2025 season, we all know the ups and downs that Ben Brown brought, but there's still a very appealing upside to Ben Brown that just doesn't get talked about enough, and that's that swing and miss ability. Honestly, I was a little disappointed that he was left off the roster for the NLDS, because I thought he did really well against the Brewers, and I feel like he is the type of pitcher that brings success to the postseason. He has that swing and miss ability that the Cubs desperately need. Obviously, there's some things you need to hone in. He's a little wild, a little erratic. Sometimes the ball's a little bit more of a meatball in that situation. But again, do I think Ben Brown could bring an impact to the 2026 Cubs? Absolutely. Obviously, the pitching lab has done a fantastic job with plenty of other people. Not every person's going to work in the pitching lab, but Ben Brown is still getting going in this in this system. Ben Brown has been a part of the Cubs organization for a little bit over a few years now. And again, he has shown flashes of pure brilliance, and those are the things we have to focus on. Yes, last year was a little bit up and down, the minus 1.6 WAR. You don't like to see it, but 106 innings pitched, 121 strikeouts. That whip does need to be lowered. But again, he's got really solid stuff, and I think there's just a lot of good potential with him. So I'm curious to see how the Cubs utilize him. Probably more of a long relief role to start, maybe the occasional spot start. But he's got a lot of great physical tools. He's only 26 years old. He's not turning 27 until September. So I'm interested to see how Ben Brown fits into the construct of this Cubs team. Maybe he's a bullpen arm that we're not discussing as well. Because maybe his skill set, right? There's pitchers that can go a good amount of time, right? But there's also pitchers that if they can just harness it on that one inning and focus all their might on that, they can find great success at the big league level. And maybe that's what we need from Ben Brown. Maybe the starting days are over, right? But maybe we can have a nice, cheap reliever for the next 5 years, and he can go and give us an inning, right? Maybe he can see an inning or two. As long as he's not seeing the lineup multiple times, Ben Brown can generally be okay. Obviously, his first innings have been massive struggles. But again, maybe you bring him in the sixth, right? And he faces the 5, 6, 7 hitters. And he gets out of that easy peasy. We do need someone to eat innings this season. I'm just curious as to how they're going to use Ben Brown in that role. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think we should do with Ben Brown. Should we make a blockbuster trade with the Twins? And let me know all your other thoughts on the subject. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for today's edition of Cubs Daily. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace.